It's our favorite time of each month when we get to spin the wheel at realgood.com. It's Netflix Roulette tonight on Real to Real Talk. Film is a medium that transports. All I have to do is pop myself in front of the TV to watch a movie, and I can just enjoy it, whatever place the film takes me to.
Movies have always been an escape. It gives you a whole new world to be in.
I have a rekindled love affair with movies.
Welcome, everyone, to this episode of Real to Real Talk. I am Sergio Barrera, and it's time once again to talk movies. Joining me, as always, are the other Real to Real talkers, Susan Chisholm and Paul Britton. Guys, the family is once again complete.
Minus one kidney, but yes, we are complete.
Yes.
Relatively complete.
Five kidneys amongst the three of us.
Yeah.
What's funny is that earlier my husband's dad was over and we were talking about stuff, and Cullen made the comment. He's like, "I've got more kidneys than average, or than the average human," and I was like, "You're not wrong."
Where does that leave me?
So it popped into my head. So it was fun.
Well,
times.
Susan, we are glad that all went well for you and Cullen. Welcome back. We missed you last week, but we knew you guys had to rest. So our hopes and prayers continue to go with you as you guys recover and heal and all that good stuff.
Thank you.
Cullen now has to watch the show every week. So
He does. I told him. Anytime I'm like, "Oh, my kidney. Can you take out,
my liver.
Can you take out the trash? Can you take out the trash?"
you're
Oh,
like,
gosh.
"Oh, my kidney." Wait, which one? Hold on.
No.
The phantom
Like,
kidney.
I gave you a whole kidney. You can't even take out the trash.
Trump
I'm just-
card.
I'm not.
Kidney.
There you go.
I won't do that to him. I will.
I'll
I
give you
promise
an
I won't do
organ.
that.
Yeah, good.
Oh,
I promise
man,
I
that's
won't do
awesome.
that.
You're a good bird.
Indeed. Good bird indeed. And speaking of birds, it's Netflix Roulette time. Not sure what the connection there is, but
None.
we once again are going to visit with our friends at realgood.com. They have a nice little trinket called Netflix Roulette. It's actually multiple streaming services. If you go to realgood.com/roulette, you can use their service to help you decide what it is you're going to watch. Because, guys, I don't know about y'all, but I have scrolled so many times in an evening trying to figure out what to watch and then ended up watching nothing. I don't know if that happens to y'all.
Yeah. They actually instituted a Netflix now has their own like play something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this isn't the same. It doesn't work the right way.
Way too broad. It's
That's
way too
risky,
broad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's anything on Netflix. You can't the thing I love about realgood.com/roulette is that I can choose, hey, I'm in the mood for a comedy. I'm in the mood for a musical. And I can just go musical.
Yeah.
Pick. Whereas
yeah.
Netflix Roulette the Netflix's play something function might throw me into something that could be like an axe murderer horror movie. And I'm just like, I just wanted some comedy and now I'm watching people die.
I wanted light and fluffy, but that's not what we get today. This week.
No.
This week is not light and fluffy.
I don't think so.
No, the hope this week is that we were all in the mood for mystery because that was our topic for Netflix Roulette this month. Month to month, we spin the wheel on a particular topic and then we talk about the movies that we got. And sometimes they're hits, sometimes they're misses. And let's find out what happened this time around. So the topic is mystery. Paul, we'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about what you were gifted by the wheel.
Well, Real Good wants to continue to take me on an international film journey. And so this week's destination is Indonesia. And we got the movie May the Devil Take You, which is... I mean, it felt more like a thriller horror movie, but if they want to call that a mystery, that's fine. I'm down. Whatever. It's good. But the good news for me is I've said before, I have a very narrow horror affinity window. And this was just right up my alley. It was a total 100% devil possession movie, and I'm like, yeah, let's do this. But also, as often happens when I watch movies, I need to give people the life lessons that we learned from this. Okay. So first life lesson is, if you want to get rich, don't invite the strange witch lady to come into your cellar and cast things to make you get rich only after you give her a big wad of your daughter's hair. Don't do that.
Or a kidney.
Or a kid, anything really. If she requires anything other than just you being there, don't do it. In fact, probably best not to invite her at all. Second thing is, after you become rich, when you have that house, like that where the witch lady did her thing, either sell the house or better yet, demolish it and get rid of it completely, because no good's going to come of that house still being around in your possession and non-occupied. It's bad juju. Get rid of it. Right. But it's pretty interesting. This movie was I think 2018. It's pretty like standard fare as as far as like horror movies sort of go, but it's pretty good. I'm not even gonna lie. I enjoyed it. It wasn't like earth shattering or anything. It's not redefining. In fact, it grabs so many tropes from so many horror movies that you've seen before, especially like demon possession horror movies that you've seen before. But it still works, and I enjoyed it. So yeah, So bravo, Indonesia, and may the devil take you. So there you go. So if you're not into devil possession movies, forget it.
Well, all right then.
We'll keep that in mind. All right. So the Netflix roulette wheel was kind to you this time around, Paul, sounds like.
Not me. Yeah.
For myself, I was actually pleased when the result came up, because I expected, as is the case in most of our spins, that again I would be taken internationally as well. And I guess maybe I did, but it was to a very well-known genre. Black Mirror is a show that is on Netflix. It's a series of really weird, sort of mind-bending episodes. They did a movie called Bandersnatch, and the wheel gave me Bandersnatch. I don't know if either one of you are familiar with this film. It was very unique in that it was definitely a mystery, but what was cool about it, and this was sort of the concept when it was first released, is it's actually an interactive movie that you, as the watcher, get to choose which direction the film goes. And it was a really cool concept. The mystery itself, I mean, I guess the payoff is up to you. So how you enjoy it is really kind of up to what you choose. But as you go through key points of the film, you're given the opportunity to actually use your remote and pick a choice. And it's always two choices. And whatever you choose, that is the path the movie then goes in. And so there are several endings, several possibilities. It'll cycle back sometimes and pick up on something that, you didn't choose the first time. And it generally runs about 90 minutes from start to finish. So the movie itself was pretty interesting. It was a pretty compelling story, but I think the hook obviously was that you yourself could determine which way to go. And, whatever your choice is, you could actually get to the end. I was reading that based on choices you make, you could take less than an hour to get to the end of the film. I took about 90 minutes, okay. And then I went and clicked some other things just to kind of see what else happened. So
sure.
The fun of it was that it was interactive, because I've never experienced anything like that, nor seen anything of that type, in films. And so I enjoyed it. I was really happy to have gotten the selection. I remember when it first came out, I didn't choose to see it because I thought, choosing your path, come on. But then the wheel said, you're going to find out what this is all about. It was cool. I don't know that I would want all movies to be this way, because it's like,
it's too much pressure.
Right. Plus you're left there going, did I choose? Have I seen every possibility? And so,
you have chosen poorly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, sure. And happy to say the roulette wheel did not choose poorly for me. I did enjoy Bandersnatch, and I would recommend it just for the fun of basically, it reminded me of how much in high school or middle school probably I loved the choose your own adventure stories. I used to love that. So
Yeah.
'cause I love to read.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my gift from the wheel. So Susan, we'll go to you next.
So my gift from the wheel, if you will, was a movie that I have never had any desire in seeing, I guess. The other thing is, the mystery about my film was, how in the F is this a mystery? How is this listed under mystery?
Okay.
The movie that the roulette wheel gave me was The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. And if you're familiar with this film, it's actually like 6 different stories put into one.
Yeah.
All with varying degrees of
Weirdness.
WTF-ness.
Yes.
It was produced by the Coen brothers, directed by the Coen brothers that, we're familiar with them from The Big Lebowski and Raising Arizona, the ones that I've actually seen lately. And so there's this element of silliness in it.
Mhm.
Like little things that are just like, oh, that's funny. And then there's elements of like,
yes.
I mean, that was
big
more.
time.
I had more what the fuck moments than I had like giggly moments. And I was at the end of it, I was like, the mystery is, what's the point? What was the point of that? I was like, I came out at the end of it and I was like, I missed something. I had to have missed something big to make that all make sense together.
No. Mm-mm.
And then I was reading online afterwards and people were like, what was the point of that? And also other people were like, that was amazing. And it was nominated for like 2 or 3 Academy Awards, and like Best Picture was one of them, I think. Hang on, I have to look it up now.
It was not nominated for Best Picture.
It was nominated for 2 or 3
for original song, and I don't know if there was another one.
There was a second one. It was
that song is awesome, but
it was nominated for Best Achievement in Music Written for Motion Pictures, Best Achievement in Costume Design, and Best Adapted Screenplay.
Okay.
So, okay, yes, the music was interesting and fun, and I liked it. The screenplay was like, every individual story was unique and fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I struggled with there was a lot of like, I'm gonna shoot this guy in the face. At least in the first one. The first one was kind of like, not my cup of tea, if you will. But yeah, I couldn't tell you what the mystery element of it was, but I will say, all in all, I'm still deciding whether or not I like this film. I think I liked it. I'm not going to say I'm going to go back and watch it again, but it wasn't a horrible experience where I was like, I'm never watching movies ever again. But yeah, that's my take on it. Tell me, can either of you tell me what the mystery was there?
I mean, there were unique twists.
Yeah.
In each of the 6 or however many vignettes.
I mean,
a couple of them have little twists,
yeah.
like the one with the they're in the, oh crap, I can't even remember what like where the woman in, and she, I don't know, there is one that definitely leans heavier into the mystery than the other ones.
But that was definitely part of why I was, I guess, maybe taken aback would be a good way of putting it. I was kind of like, hey, what now?
Yeah. I would say it wouldn't necessarily be a mystery, but
right.
I can kind of get why.
So if you look on the realgood.com, it's mystery, comma, the other stuff that it's listed as.
Right.
Oh,
mystery, comma, musical.
I know at least one of them. Like, it sounds like they classified it based on each individual segment.
Yeah.
So
Which
on IMDb, it is listed as comedy, drama, musical, mystery, romance, western.
yeah, they
Okay.
basically pick one
it
of these.
is okay, but like even the one, and I know which one you're talking about, Paul, which chapter you're talking about, but it was just kind of like that doesn't seem like it would carry the entire movie as a mystery, but like
Right.
yeah, I watched it, so
My favorite
There we
one was
go.
the guy that was the prospector protecting his land.
yeah.
That one
I
is
loved it.
good. Oh my god. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the best one by far.
Yeah.
And second is the one the singing cowboy, Buster Scruggs with Tim Blake Nelson. He's so good.
You did it. Yeah. I was going to say, like, I was looking at the cast list and being like, I recognize a few, like one name or two names, but I mean, that's just also me.
Yeah.
But, you know,
James Franco's in it, so what are you
James
gonna
Franco. Yeah. And then
do? They can't
I
all
was
be
kinda
winners.
Yeah.
congratulations, Coen Brothers. You mind fucked me once again.
Well,
The
And by
whole
that, I
point.
mean confused. I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
what is going on?
You could have gotten a horror / mystery movie instead.
I'm so glad that I didn't.
Okay. Well,
I'm so glad that I
Well,
didn't.
we're coming up on Halloween, so get
I know,
ready.
spooky time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Susan. Thank you, Paul. That is our monthly spinning the wheel of realgood.com. Make sure you go over to realgood.com/roulette, and you yourself can put in a genre and more than just Netflix as a streaming service, but why? Use Netflix or others and let the wheel tell you what to watch. So we thank you so much for joining us here on Real to Real Talk. We like to remind you to visit us on our social media. You can do so by visiting us on Facebook at Real to Real Talk. Make sure you follow and like the page. Also, comment on the post that you see there. You can watch back episodes of the show as well as we stream to you live every single week. Also, on Instagram, you can see all of our show posters so you can know what we've talked about in the past. And then head on over to one of our streaming medias and catch episodes that we have done here for you. On YouTube, we thank you for joining us. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and click the notification bell so you know when our episodes post if you didn't get to catch them live. All in all, we appreciate that you are watching with us. And with that, we will head into our weekly segments. And we will begin with one we like to call What the Hell Did I Just Watch? Paul, take it away.
So, I picked this week's movie as sort of a precursor to one of the movies we're doing during Real Quick Reviews, the Card Counter, which is from Paul Schrader, a semi-famous writer-director, probably more famous for writing a few Martin Scorsese movies like Taxi Driver and Raging Bull than for his own movies, but he has several quite a few movies that he's of his own that he's written and directed. And one of the first ones that he ever did was a little movie called Hardcore, starring George C. Scott. And it's a story about a girl from Grand Rapids, Michigan, who goes to a Calvinist like Bible camp, and then mysteriously disappears while on an outing in Los Angeles at Knott's Berry Farm, and so George C. Scott goes, hires a private detective, played by Peter Boyle, who is just probably like, I don't know, the worst person in the world, that doesn't actually do any horrible crimes, just does horrible things up until, committing horrible crimes. And he finds out that the girl is in hardcore pornography films now. And yeah, and so that's what I'm telling you, this movie, and like he shows George C. Scott his hey, there's a movie you gotta see, and it's like George C. Scott. There's a meme of George C. Scott reacting to something like it's from this movie. It's from this movie of him seeing his daughter in a porn movie. And it's just, this movie is really fucking upsetting. And like, you're just the entire time, like, you're like, what the hell? And it's really weird because it's George Scott playing this sort of straight-laced, very Midwestern guy. And then like he realizes, oh, this is going nowhere. I got to find her myself. And so he like starts dressing up in like 70s polyester shirts and he like and wants to finance a porn film, and so like he's going around interviewing people to be in his porn. It's just honestly, it's what the hell is George C. Scott doing in this movie is really this movie, I mean, this guy Schrader makes the most just absolutely gut-wrenchingly depressing movies that have absolutely no hope for humanity. And God bless them, because they're usually pretty good. And this is a disturbing and yet pretty good movie. So
yeah, 1979. So
yeah,
I can imagine.
Yeah. It's right after Taxi Driver, I believe, is the timeline on that. I think Taxi Driver came out and he used that sort of, or it might have been right after Raging Bull. He used one or the other to basically be like, well, I want to do my own now. And so, and this is the one I want to do. And nobody said, are you sure?
Don't do that.
Are you sure that's the one you want to make right now?
Sit down, George. Let's talk.
Yeah. Oh, but have you seen 8mm, Sergio?
Yes, I have.
It's basically 8mm without somebody dying. That's what it is. It's just like George C. Scott instead of Nicolas Cage. So the 8mm definitely doesn't happen if this movie didn't already exist. I guarantee you that. Guarantee. Forget the influence of Seven on being able to get 8mm made. This was the one, because there's so much in 8mm that is taken directly from here. It's crazy. So
all right.
There you go.
Well, we can
bringing you family fare.
I was about to say, we can always count on you for the family fare.
Yeah.
And if you want to watch other family type movies that Paul brings us during this segment, make sure you check back on our past episodes so you can figure out what kind of weirdness Paul brings us week to week. So make sure you tune in, and trust me, you will wonder what is wrong with Paul. So
this movie, honestly, this movie has been on my list since the first time I sat down to make this list. It's just I'd never had like I really felt like I needed a reason to watch this movie, and I finally had one.
And it's also, it's the kind of movie when you think of the career of a George C. Scott.
Yeah.
And the highs and lows. There you go. You get hardcore. So.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Paul. We appreciate all the weirdness that you bring us week to week.
So weird. Yeah.
Which brings us now to a segment we call Susan Finally Saw. Susan, what did you finally see?
Well, okay. So I'm going to actually do two movies because they go together. They're part one and part two. And it was put in by somebody a long time ago on my list that said you should totally watch this movie. And I think that they were wanting me to have like a comic break in there somewhere. And so I saw part 1 and 2 of Night at the Museum. And what's funny about that is I didn't ever intend to. Okay, let me rephrase that. I wasn't planning on watching them this week, because my dad had given me one that I was originally going to use as my Susan Finally Saw, because after surgery, we were recovering. I was at his house, at my mom and dad's house, recovering, and he had something playing. And I was going to use that as because he was like, you got to watch this one. And it was, yeah, anyway, that maybe next week or something. We'll talk about that later. But this one was one of the ones that I was like, I'm not a big fan of Ben Stiller, but we'll get around to it, I guess. And as it happened, they were playing back to back, also during recovery time. And I remembered back to my list and thought, like, now's my opportunity. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take the time. I'm going to watch it. So it turned out exactly the way that I had imagined that it was going to. It was ridiculous in the best of ways, and the second one was kind of like, oh, Amy Adams, what is you doing? But it was cute. I thought it was funny. At points, it was like, okay, you can stop now. At many points, it was like, okay, you can stop now. The gag is over. Like, just it's done. Keep moving. But I think that's like Ben Stiller style. So yeah, I can say that it wasn't the worst experience in the world. Unlike the other movie my dad had me watch. So that's next week.
Can't wait.
Okay, great. Good times.
Yeah. One of the things I love about your segment, Susan, is that I still, after all this time, cannot figure out what your wheelhouse of movies is, like what your preferences are. It takes you all over.
No,
don't solve the mystery. Don't solve the mystery. I want to keep trying to figure it out.
Well, good luck with that, because I couldn't even tell you.
Because you take us all over with your list, so we appreciate that.
I'm following. The list has all sorts of different kinds. You've seen it. I know Paul has meticulously set apart, so he knows every movie post probably on that list. Yeah, my list is vast and unique.
Yeah, indeed. And yet, the best one that you have ever seen is
13th Warrior.
Right there.
Yeah.
Was
that I was assuming that's the movie that your dad sat down and said he needed to watch.
No,
I was going to throw the joke in there.
No, just wait. It will be glorious.
I think from now on we'll have to compare anything you bring to us like against 13th Warrior just as a gauge. So.
Okay, well, let's say this one doesn't have people magically learning a language while sitting around a fire. So,
okay. Thank you, Susan.
That's my 13th Warrior.
Could you actually see what was happening during the movie?
Could see what was happening. Yes, it's very well lit.
Very excellent.
It does not star one Antonio Banderas.
I will carry this burden for the rest of the time we do this show. If it'll get one more person to watch the 13th Warrior, I'll put up with the All right, make sure you visit us week to week to figure out how Susan is doing on getting through her list of 7,234 movies that people have suggested, and you too can add to them by commenting on our shows and on our media. So
please give me more.
Susan. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
For this week's Real-Time Rewind, where I like to remind folks about films that are out there that you may have seen and maybe have not seen yet. I like to share genres of films, but I'm going to hold off on that till probably October because you know what? September is just going to be a kind of a catch-all. The movie I'm going to remind folks about today, I like modern Westerns, and even though 2003 probably doesn't feel like modern, because it was directed by Kevin Costner, I'm going to go ahead and call it modern Western. And that is a movie called Open Range. Open Range was the kind of, I love Westerns like Unforgiven, and Open Range, when it came out, was sort of in that same wheelhouse, and I was excited to go see it and check it out. And of course, I myself am a fan of the wondrous work of one Kevin Costner, very much like Paul. And he directed Open Range. He starred in it with Robert Duvall. And I remember thinking as I watched it, I was like so captivated by the story and by the characters that I thought, one of them is going to die. Sooner or later, one of them is going to die. And so that was sort of what I was waiting for. And I won't give it away in case people haven't seen it, but check it out. It's worth the watch, especially if you like Westerns. It is a bit of a throwback to some of the older classics. And I would credit that much more to Robert Duvall than I would to Kevin Costner. But it's beautifully filmed. The cinematography is amazing. And it's a fun watch if you like Westerns. And so I would like to see folks watch Open Range and then tell us what they think, as I myself enjoyed it quite tremendously. So that is this week's Real-Time Rewind. And now we're going to talk about something we like to call real quick reviews. We've got a few films that we want to talk about and share our thoughts on that came out this past week. And I think we'll start with a little one called Malignant. So, can I just start by saying, Paul, that sometimes you choose things and then I watch them and I'm like, do I kick Paul from the show? Do I have to? Because when you brought this movie up, I was already like, oh, okay, all right. Well, it's from the same folks that brought us The Conjuring and other similar films, so okay, fine.
Yeah.
I'll jump in.
Yeah.
I regret jumping in, but
no. Look, this is not my wheelhouse either. I'm just gonna flat out say it. This is not my wheelhouse by a movie that I would normally watch. I'm sacrificing for the show. You're welcome. Honestly, if it wasn't free on HBO Max, I would not have seen this movie. Like we even had the conversation of, okay, there's a big movie coming out and there's one that we actually want to go see. Which one do we do? And we picked the one that we actually wanted to go see. And then I saw, oh, it's on HBO Max. Maybe we should just go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
The reveal is really shocking and good. Right?
Yeah. No, from a film standpoint, there were things that went really well, but from the subject matter and just my stomach hurt throughout the entire film. I'm not gonna lie.
It was unpleasant.
I watched most of it like this.
Yeah, it was unpleasant. I disliked the use of, and I'm just going to spoil this, and I don't care. I dislike the use of domestic violence as a plot point to move things forward. Like it felt. No, you don't do that. Like it was just like there's a million and one ways to trigger something to happen to move the plot forward. And I don't feel like that was the thing to do. It was really bad. It was in bad taste.
Yeah.
But ultimately there is one really good scene, and it's when they're figuring out, okay, what's going on, and and they reveal there's a big reveal. And it's a really good big reveal. That was a really good scene, but I was so turned off the film before it even got that I don't know. So, hey, if this is your bag, more power to you, but it's not mine.
Yeah, it really wasn't for me. Again, there, and I say this, semi sarcastically, but there might be a good movie in this. I don't know, but because myself, and the genre don't quite mix, at least not to this level. I had a hard time with it. So here on Real to Real Talk, we have a 5 taco rating system. A movie can get as many as 5 tacos, and if you want to throw in some extra love, you can throw in some guac. So based on that rating scale, Jason actually is asking, should I watch it or not? So Paul, let's get to it. What is your taco rating for Malignant?
I'm giving it. I'm actually gonna give it 1 tacos and throw in the guac for the reveal. The reveal is fantastic. Jason, I have a horror to answer Jason's direct question. Should I watch it or not? Horror movies and comedy movies are tough to recommend because you don't know what other people like. They're very genre specific. It just depends on what you like. I could see some people liking this. It's really gross. It's ultra violent and a lot of needlessly. One of my biggest problems is there are just characters that come and go, and it's just like who, what, where, why. And I would not personally recommend it to people unless I knew, they liked, this stupid horror movie that I hated. So, okay, if you like that stupid horror movie I hated, maybe you could like this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna add it. I'm gonna land. I'm not gonna even go guac. This was 1 taco,
okay.
And I'll qualify by saying it's because it's not my preference. I decided to give it a shot, not just when you suggested it, but because it came sort of from the family of producers and directors that brought us, The Conjuring and others in that genre. But I don't know.
The Conjuring works.
The Conjuring,
Conjuring works on some level. This one doesn't work for me on any level.
Yeah.
It's just
no, thank you.
Bad taste. Yes, not for you, Susan.
I passed on this movie because of the certain things that caused me to be triggered on things, and I'm like, I'll pass on it, but thank you.
Not for you.
Not for me.
My tummy hurt. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move to our next film that we're going to talk about, and it's called The Card Counter. And can we just? There's a lesson that I learned here, and I'll get to that a little bit in a couple of minutes when we start talking about the aftermath of watching this. Susan, yes or no on this one? I just want to make sure that
I did not get a chance to see this one. I was not able to drive myself anywhere, and nobody that I knew was interested in going.
Understandable. So and the reason I ask is just to be sure that we all get time to talk about this, because this was an interesting experience. Paul Schrader, of course, came up earlier in the episode. Paul, were you looking forward to this film?
Very much so. Yes. Okay. Big time. I was just because I've seen multiple Paul Schrader movies, and in anticipation, I was excited enough that I was like, I have some holes in my Paul Schrader filmography that I need to fill. So I went ahead and I watched Hardcore, I watched Light Sleeper, and I watched First Reformed, leading up to going to see this movie. Taxi Driver is one of the greatest movies ever made. He wrote Raging Bull. Again, one of the greatest sports movies ever made. If you're looking for a fun afternoon out in a movies, Paul Schrader's movies are not bad. Like, this is not, something's going to happen in these movies where there is a darkness that hangs over his films, and his main characters are really not flawed, but deeply bad and flawed. It's just, it goes so much beyond just flawed character. Like there's a darkness to his stuff, and and
that's the thing. I'll be honest, I'm not familiar with, if I'm familiar with any of his work, it's probably just by chance. I was drawn in by the trailer of this film when I first saw it a few weeks ago, and the cast. These were the things that drew me to this film. And my biggest problem with this film was that the trailer was so good, and then the movie was nothing like what's portrayed in the trailer, which I'm not going to fault the film because of that. But for me, the toughness of this film was wanting to like it, but the pacing was so slow.
Oh yeah.
The direction it took. There's a very compelling story that is told by this film. It's very timely. The twists were cool.
Really dark.
Very dark.
So
and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
The acting was great, but and listen, I'm a big Tiffany Haddish fan.
Yeah.
But this trailer made her performance look far better than what we ended up getting in the entirety of the movie itself.
Okay.
And so I felt like the trailer really set me up, and the overall film let me down. But here's the lesson before we go to thoughts on our ratings. The lesson I learned, having done some research after having watched the film and putting my thoughts together, was maybe I just don't know good cinema, because this movie scores very well on Rotten Tomatoes, and yet I felt like it had a ton of flaws that made it a struggle to get through.
It's a tough hang.
Yeah.
But this goes back to what I was saying about Schrader. There is a main character, and they are not likable, and they are not going to there is no light at the end of the tunnel for these people. If you think there's a glimmer of a light at the end of the tunnel, odds are pretty good the light's going to get shut off at some point before you get to the end with his movies. His movies are an exploration in angst and pain, and that's what his movies are. And this was no different, and probably more so. I was honestly, I was shocked at how tough of a hang this was. I didn't know what to expect, and then at about the 20-minute mark, I was like, oh, this is going to be bad. I was like, oh no, no. I hope Susan doesn't go see this.
I will say that I would recommend this film to people, and I will revisit it at some point.
Yeah.
Because again, there's a story here, and it's a very good story. And can we just say Willem Dafoe? You know, there's so much that I know I probably would have appreciated if I hadn't been so slowed down by the pace, and of course the fact that it took such a turn after the trailer sets it up as something completely different. I question the title of this film.
Yeah. Well, but it's the you know.
Yeah,
that's the other thing too. Is you get when with his main characters, you get every aspect of that main. You get all sides of that person, and there was, you know, this is who he is.
Yeah,
but this is what can happen if that goes wrong. If that is applied in a bad place,
right?
You know, this is where it goes, and it's dark and it's unpleasant, and it means Tiffany Haddish gets to put her finger on the.
Yeah, that it lost the taco just because of that last scene. For me, the card counter is going to land at 3 tacos, and I am going to throw guac because again, Willem Dafoe. And listen, Oscar Isaac. I don't know how people feel about him, but I love his work. I really do.
He's my favorite. He's one of my favorite working actors. I'm giving this one 4 tacos, and because it's just it just absolutely clings on to your psyche and strangles it. I also want to recommend everybody who has the inclination to watch First Reformed. And Sergio, I'm basically saying this for you, Sergio.
Yeah.
I don't. It's free on a service. I don't remember which one it's on right now. It's amazing. It's one of the movies that I watched leading up to this, and I am flat out telling you I love that movie, and it just chilled me to the bone. But it's great. You know,
I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, First Reformed. But yeah, and especially if you happen to catch Card Counter and like it, then go do First Reformed, and you'll be like, oh my god. So yeah.
All right, definitely will check it out. On a much lighter note,
big time.
Netflix took us down another woman assassin path.
Can we just have one of these a month?
Seriously.
Like, we're on that pace, and I'm in.
Yeah, this movie, Kate, on Netflix is what a treat. By the time I got to watching this movie, I was like, yeah, I'm ready for some, like, you know, just not having to think kind of action stuff. So this was fun. Susan, opportunity to watch this?
I did have an opportunity to watch this, but I wanna hear y'all's thoughts before. I'm still kind of formulating mine.
Cool. Then I'll start out if you don't mind, Paul. So this movie for me was a by the numbers action film. It's a very familiar trope, you know, the assassin that's been, you know, they're on their last job and something goes, you know, awry. And there was just, for me, there was just enough story, a lot of great action, and just my popcorn was just, you know, I really enjoyed this movie from top to bottom. I'm not going to sit there and go, this was a 5 taco, you know, masterpiece. But it hit all the right buttons. There were some flaws in terms of some of the minor characters that were trying to play like they were major, but they just didn't quite get there. But listen, if I rate this movie just on the action sequences and the fight scenes, there's a whole lot of guac being put on this film by me. So I really, really enjoyed it. Paul, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, so this... pre our podcast, you know, obviously this owes a lot to the Kill Bill films. You know, also Atomic Blonde. But you know, since we've been doing this, just in the last few months, we've had Hamburger Milkshake, and even 2 weeks ago, we had Protege, and I mean, this is just right there with Hamburger Milkshake, the protege. It's just like, where Hamburger Milkshake was a little bit high concept, a little bit, but like not really. And it just give me a kick-ass female lead that just can absolutely handle herself, like just can be like, this is stone cold, this is me, fuck you, and then throw in random actor, supporting actors. Like this had Woody Harrelson, protege had Michael Keaton and Samuel Jackson. Just give me one person that I like that is just a supporting character, and I'm gonna like your movie. Like your floor at that point is 3 tacos, and unless you do something really egregious to make a bad, boring movie, and this didn't do that. It really delivers, and it's but also kind of sad. Like the whole time there's just this big black cloud. She's like Winnie the Pooh the whole time. There's a little black rain cloud over her the whole time, but it's still pretty cool, and it still works as a conceit for a movie.
Yeah.
So,
all right, Susan.
So there were some things that you said that kind of put into Sergio, that you put into words exactly what I was thinking, that I had no idea how to put it into words. So what you said about the minor characters acting like they were not minor characters, that was kind of like, okay. So this is probably gonna, I don't know how this is gonna land for y'all too. So I actually really loved this movie. Despite the things that I normally don't like about it, like, the her going against her like personal moral code or whatever you want to call it, taking care of the stuff in the beginning of the movie, the whole sets up for everything else. I think this may be one of the things that you could consider on my part. This is here, add another piece to the puzzle, Sergio. I think like badass female lead movies like this could be something that I think I like on a regular basis. I could do with, I mean, it's an action movie, and it's one of those ones that I didn't really have to think about.
Yeah.
And I think that helped. Listen, I've been recovering from surgery for almost 2 weeks now, and like, I don't need to think about things. Yeah. It's probably better, in fact, that I don't think about things, because it's just not going to work for me. But I think that this ended up hitting a lot of the right buttons for me, and it was, I think it was good.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I was a little bit skeptical about Mary Elizabeth Winstead as an action star because of all the other stuff I've seen her in. But I'm convinced.
I'll take. I'm waiting for the action star Anna Taylor-Joy. That's the one that I want to see. I want to see Anna Taylor-Joy with that mischievous smile of hers, just slicing dudes' heads off, and that's what I want.
There you go. Yes. Nice. Well,
I would watch that.
So would I. I'll tell you what, for Kate, Netflix, I'm gonna land on 3 very, very tasty packed tacos, guac all over the place. I really, really enjoyed this movie from top to bottom, and it's one that I won't have trouble revisiting at some point. It was a lot of fun. So 3 tacos plus guac for me.
Yeah. I'm totally 100% in the 3 tacos plus guac scenario as well. Super tasty guac, like so good. And they didn't charge you extra for it. It's just like, yeah, sure, here's some guac.
There you go.
I love you.
My kid
Thank you.
makes really amazing guacamole, so I'm just gonna.
I have finally perfected my guacamole recipe. So.
All right, something else to try. I'm gonna land on 4 tacos,
Sweet.
Just because it's not something that I normally like. And I like it.
There you go.
That's
all
me.
right. You can catch Kate on Netflix, and all the movies that we've talked about tonight. Check them out, except for Malignant, because yeah. So you can hear from us week to week, and let me tell you, those of you who are watching, first of all, thank you. Second of all, there's a lot of movies coming out between now and the rest of the year, so don't be surprised when our show becomes nothing but reviews for a few weeks because so much material. But some future episodes you can look forward to. We'll be doing some talking about Clint Eastwood, And we'll also be talking James Bond. So make sure you stick around and figure out week to week what we're talking about by joining us here every single Tuesday. All right, guys, something exciting happened this past week that I know we want to talk about. And, I want to say that in the entirety of this show, which I believe is now 91 episodes, we've never talked about a trailer in any amount of detail.
We have not. But this
happened.
Yeah.
And so we absolutely, positively must.
Yeah.
We are returning to the world of The Matrix. And the first trailer came out, and oh boy, Sergio went, "Daddy, happy."
Yeah. Well, Sergio, this is our first episode together.
Absolutely.
Was an in-depth discussion on the Matrix trilogy.
Indeed.
And so this is like just harkening back, and I just have to say, this is what we needed for the second and third movies. Like this feels like an interesting, compelling story that fits in with the universe, but doesn't feel like preachy, contrived oofiness, if that's a word.
Yeah. For myself, as a fan of all three original ones, the thing that whenever someone visits or revisits a film to a very popular series years later, there's always the risk of like, okay, is this going to connect? Is this going to be? And my biggest fear when I first heard that there was going to be a fourth Matrix was, how do you tell this story given how the third movie ended? This trailer got me to think, oh, they're bringing John Wick into it. No, I'm kidding. This movie got me to think, okay, I'm open to whatever the story is going to be. Not only because of the compelling images and so forth, but because this trailer was so beautifully put together that I'm like, okay, I don't care what happens. I'm in. I want to know what this story is, and I want to know what these characters are going to be put through. A fantastic trailer to really get you hooked in.
Yeah. This is the definition of a teaser. I mean, teasers need to get you super stoked for more, and this did that. And
getting Carrie-Anne Moss back, obviously Keanu Reeves, the recasting of Morpheus has been a big conversation. Again, I'm looking forward to it. Susan, what about you?
I am curious. I'll leave it there. I'm curious. I wasn't a super big fan of the second and third movies. I wasn't a big fan of the third movie specifically. But for sure.
Yeah. For anybody who hasn't heard our original thing, I preferred the third to the second, but that's cool.
Yeah. For me, it was kind of like, okay, let's just get this over with kind of feeling to me on the third Matrix movie. It was like rushed. It was slammed together. Like, let's just finish this. And I wasn't a fan of how it ended. I wasn't a fan of a lot of that, but here we are.
We're about to revisit Christmas. December 22nd, I believe, is the release date for The Matrix Resurrections. Our friend Nick says that Indian girl smiling at Neo with red glasses, little girl from 3. Yes, that is.
I gotta believe so. Yeah,
absolutely.
And before that, he mentioned Neil Patrick Harris in the blue glasses equals keep Neo asleep. And absolutely, like, those blue glasses just scream. So Neil Patrick Harris is not playing a good guy in this movie.
I gotta say, maybe we do this more often when we come across compelling trailers. But
this was like this hit, and I sent you a message. I said, Sergio, we got to talk about this in the show.
It's funny, Nick, who commented, he and I are like trailer fiends. He more so than me. He's the one that he's my trailer dealer.
Okay.
And I think I beat him to this one. I was so proud of myself because I was like, I already saw it. And I'm like, where do I buy my ticket? So
yeah.
So yeah.
The next one we're all waiting for, Nick, is Licorice Pizza. That trailer is making its way to select theaters around the world right now, and hopefully we get to see it soon. So
I'll be looking forward to it. So
Paul Thomas Anderson's next movie.
Yeah, there you go. And here we go with once again saying thank you to Paul, Susan. I appreciate everything you bring to the show, Susan. Once again, welcome back. Continued success on your recovery, and give our love to Cullen as well. And all that fun stuff. To all of you who are watching us, we thank you so much for participating in this adventure with us. Week to week, we will continue to talk movies with you. So please make plans to join us next week, once again on Tuesday night. Keep a look at our social media for times and such. Until next time, have a great week, guys. Thank you so much for all that you're doing in your lives. Love people around you, spread goodwill, and remember, you're awesome, you're amazing, and the world's a better place because you are in it. We will see you next time on